tracking to go in and look at something like that. It's not the ability to give law enforcement the real-time tracking to them.
So the law enforcement won't get a list, couldn't get a list or look at a database that said these are the people that got a prescription for Pseudophed. That's protected by
Exactly. But you can log into the system. You can log into, if the sheriff of Lincoln County wanted to log into the NPLEX system and cross-reference everybody with a meth-related conviction inside the county, you could track them. You could set up alerts on anybody that you wanted to, and obviously within whatever the. I'm not a law enforcement. I spent 9 years as an MP, but I'm not a law enforcement person. Whatever the requirements are that you can actually do that, you can do that in real time.
Excuse me, if I could just add to that and to address a question Commissioner Bass brought up earlier about the smurfing. One thing you can do with NPLEX is law enforcement, if they're suspicious, as Jim mentioned, they can look at information by store, by purchaser. If they're suspicious about a person or group of people, with NPLEX, they have access to that data, and if they see something that looks a little fishy, they can, they've got access to who's buying up to the limit, or, trying to buy over the limit, and then they can investigate accordingly. But with a prescription and HIPAA, they never see that data, unless they go to jump through a number of legal hoops.
And the legal hoops would be targeted at suspect individuals. I'm sure you couldn't go in and say, I want to see, I think the people that use Troy Walmart are smurfing. I want to see an entire list. You would have to have a suspect with a case before you could access
because their records are protected, right? You do it on an individual by individual basis.
How do you address the argument about when someone reaches their limit for the month of other people picking it up for them?
I think illegal activity is always going to happen, whether it's prescription or whether it's over the counter. I think that if you look at Oregon, for example, it went from after the prescription law went into effect, and there's no direct correlation, but the overall number of prescription drug abuse in Oregon has increased by 350% since that law has come into play. So I think you're looking at changing one problem for another. In fact, I actually heard a colleague mention that it weaponized it. I think if you look at with the Mexican cartels and the Mexican methamphetamine that was coming in, I think you look at a higher quality, higher strain of a drug, the purity of it, and I think you see those kind of things becoming more prevalent. I think that's why you see a 22% increase in meth deaths. I think that's why there's a 350% increase in prescription drug abuse. It's a complex problem that I think deserves a complex answer.
Okay. Gentlemen, have anything else for us?
So I would assume there are a lot of the states, in a lot of the states besides Oregon and Mississippi, that there's a lot of local areas, not statewide, but local areas that are going to prescription.
I would not know other states specifically. I mean, I know Missouri has had a number of local municipalities and counties have taken up the issue. I couldn't speak Maine specifically and know exactly how many city by county. Unfortunately, a state like Missouri has 600 such cities and 114 counties. We've got a lot of geography to cover.
So Jim, you're asking, is there any comparison between, okay, let's say a city in St. Louis that is recently had to go through this where they get a form, had to get a prescription. So the city next to a city, you haven't got any stats about something like that, like one of them had, one of them hadn't, because it hasn't been new enough, because in the last 3 months, there's been a lot of cities that have.
Right. I think it is fairly in Missouri to look at
Does
that.
that answer your question, Jim? Kind of that what you?
You mean, are you seeing that? Am I seeing?
What's it mean that St. Charles County adopts this? What's
Well,
it mean to the residents?
It means I'm going to be concerned when I have Pseudophed in my car when I drive to a Mizzou game. Not to make light of it, but it means that, you know, law-abiding citizens that live in St. Charles County, that work in St. Louis County, are probably going to buy their Pseudoephed in St. Louis County versus going to see a doctor. It means that criminals are going to drive a little farther. It means that, you know, if you look at all the surrounding states that are talking to each other, it means that if you hit your limit, you're blocked with the system. And it means that St. Charles, once you get a prescription, you're not going to be able to track that without looking.
How many counties have that now, do you know?
In Missouri? I can't speak to the exact number of counties. I think there's approximately 31 counties/cities together that have done that.
The figure I have in my head is not counties, it's number of pharmacies. I want to say there's 1,200, speaking in round figures, 1,200 pharmacies in Missouri, and between 400 and 500 of them are under a prescription mandate right now.
I think that's right about accurate. It did change it.
But as of now, you don't have any information about what compare them yet. You haven't put that together.
Well, no, I think it is early. I mean, I think if you look at anywhere where they go to prescription, the surrounding counties are going to see an increase because, especially in a region like St. Louis region, if you look at St. Charles County going to prescription, now that doesn't go into effect until September 1. But if you look at Franklin County, sitting next to the edge of St. Louis County, and you're going to look along pharmacies there, my city has no pharmacy, so I have to drive north or south to go buy something, whether I want Neosporin or Pseudoephedrine. So I think wherever you look that you put a prescription in, the outlying area is going to see an increase. To make a case of why those are going there, I think the numbers probably fall in the line as to what they were in the community before that was in place.
How many dollars of industry does your company do a year with this?
With the Pseudoephedrine, I don't know off the top of my head. I can happily find out for you. I just don't know that number off the top of my head.
Okay.
It's a bunch. I forget how, I used to be able to rattle off how many boxes were sold in Missouri last year, but that's escaped me. Okay, just to give you an idea what our, keep you in the loop as to where we're at in this whole process. This is the second of three, at least three steps that we heard from the proponents. Today we're hearing from you, and then at some point in the future, I can't say when, it might be 2 weeks, it might be 2 months, going to throw the doors to the old courthouse open and say anybody that wants to come. And you know, we had 24 people here for the other presentation, not a, I mean, about what we expected, but I'd like to see 250 people.
Sure.
And hopefully with a little more publicity, but we will keep you informed as to when we intend to do that. And we're going to throw the doors open. People have questions, and you know, we're going to have to try to moderate it so we don't end up with a Donnybrook. But that is our intent. Is to now that we've heard the initial presentation from everybody, we're going to continue to read, and then we're going to hear. You know, we've already had some input from the public, and at this giant, hopefully giant public meeting, hear what the people have to say, because ultimately we listen to what you say, listen to what Sir Krellner says, but when I walk out the front door to go to my vehicle and drive to work every day, I'm going to work to answer to the people that live here. So.
Yeah. Well, and let me say, since we met about a month ago, first of all, thank you so much for the open, transparent process. I mean, it is really, it's refreshing to be able to have a frank, dispassionate discussion about a very passionate issue. It does. We have different opinions on both sides of this, and really appreciate being kept in the loop on this. I really appreciate having the opportunity to come in here and have a frank discussion, not a debate about the issue, but the all talk about our position. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, we would be doing a disservice to the people that elected us if we did not try to educate ourselves. I mean, you can be mule-headed, but you still need to be open-minded.
That's what I'm just saying about me.
Right, right, and I want to learn as much as I can about this before I stick my neck out.
I appreciate the time. If there's,
I don't believe we have anything else.
get you back on schedule.
There we go. Thanks for coming
Thanks
out,
for
guys.
your time. Appreciate it. Thanks again for your time.
You bet.
See you, man.